moment, I'm a social media editor for Telegraph Women's Sports, which is about bringing, uncovering women's sports and really bringing representation at the forefront of the media. I think for me it was like a real moment where I was like, oh, I'm actually like a real journalist now. How are you? But in the lead up to that, I did a lot of really cool things. I hosted a podcast called I Think She's Offside, which is about bringing underrepresented conversations from BME communities at the forefront of sport. And a lot of it was talking to women who've done some incredible thing in sports who probably aren't under the spotlight and really finding out what has driven them towards doing what they're doing. Right guys, welcome back to I Think She's Offside for myself, Fadumo. Yeah. So we thought we'd bring back a special episode that recognises the contribution of Black sportswomen and for Black History Month. So I moved to this country when I was 11 years old. I was born in Denmark, in Aarhus, and we moved to this country. And it was just really, for more than anything, my parents were both born in Somalia and had, left after the Civil War. The UK was what everyone decided to live. So my mum's sister had already moved here. My mum's brother had already moved there. So for us, it was just like, this was the meeting point. This is ultimately where the group chat was going to be reunited. The transition itself was quite nice. And I feel like sports made it a lot easier for me because it was one of those things like, I didn't speak English, but I was also very athletic and very sporty. Earlier on, I just realised I always stood out when I go to event because there wasn't a lot of women. Then there weren't a lot of women in colour, and then I wear a hijab. There's a rugby pundit called Hugo Munye that always talks about the hardest thing you can do in life is just be yourself. And I was like, if I'm just going to stand out, I might as well do it in a way that I'm comfortable with.
There is a lot of work being done that I think isn't shouted about enough, and delighted to see Marcus Rashford getting recognised in the Queen's Birthday Honours.
His mum to meet the Queen.
That is brilliant.
That's so lovely.
But it also, that gives people confidence to follow that example. You need to see someone doing it and not being told to be quiet.
I think this year Black History Month is probably the most important it's ever been in terms of representation, in terms of celebration. I think a lot of people would say that Black History Month for a very long time was all about the struggle of Black people, whether it's slavery, whether it's things that have worked against us. And it was never really about joy and celebration and about the incredible things that Black people have achieved, whether it's off the pitch or on the pitch. Like now that within Black History Month and we're talking about representation and stuff, do you feel like it's important to kind of look into that over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been lucky enough to play with a lot of Black players, like, Rachel Yankee, Eni Aluko, Drew Spence, like I've been in and around it, and obviously, yeah, it's amazing to have strong, empowering Black women playing and, representing the sport.
Thank you, Laura, so much for joining us. Now that you're in leadership, working for the France Football Federation, I think there's a lot of talk about we need more women in sports. We need more women of colour. How important is it to you to be, I guess, all of those things?
I just realized, being in executive committees, that if you don't talk about women, if you don't talk about diversity, no one is talking about this. Black women, Arabic women, women from different backgrounds, if they don't see themselves at high position, how do they get inspired?
Done.
Yes.
I think it's really important to diversify media. I feel like media has to be a reflective of society as a whole and a reflective of sports. And I sometimes think that just having presenters of different ethnic backgrounds on the forefront isn't enough, because that's kind of just, it's putting plaster over cracks, like what is underneath, like who are the people behind the scenes, who are the researchers, who are the runners. And I think equally you need the diversity in those areas because you need to bring those stories to the forefront of society as a whole.